There was and I looked at it and different people look at it in different ways, but I looked at it as a huge, huge carpet of flowers is the best way I can put it. But each flower was a life experience, a life personality. And I looked at these thousands of flowers and said, come on, wait a minute. I've been all of these? And over here is a laugh, chuckle. I said, sure, kid, sure, what'd you expect, you know? And here's this mass of different textured, radiating, vibrant things, and this this pattern of, it's how to describe it. It's indescribable, except it's like a huge family feel, like brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles. It has that kind of feel, only much closer. And there's this total intercommunication with all these in the sense that they know you, and as you begin to work and go touch one of the flowers, which you soon find out is a face, hi boy, and the joy that you have finally recognized this. And that was reflected in, I look and I say, so this is what it's all about. This is what I am. All of these life personalities, all of these lifetime experiences. And I then said, and that's what it is. And I finally have made that understanding, that brilliant thing. And this voiceover says, well, it took you long enough. And then I found out much more about what I now call the I there of me, and take the hyphen out, and it becomes the it of me. And the it of which I am, and it is I, is indeed composed of literally, and nobody really bothers to count it in my it cluster, how many lives we have lived. But it's somewhere above 2,000, and that I figure is enough. And nobody bothers. Just go find out for yourself. And I don't want to go over there and count all these different things. Nobody does, so we don't know. But as the need arises, and there's sort of an executive committee, as it were, how these are I have no idea. I am whatever. That selects a number of life personalities to form a new one, and to send down for or insert into an earth life sojourn. And mine was selected for a very specific, from specific life experiences, to live in the century of the fire wagons. In other words, the 20th century, when we were using explosions to do things with instead of the other means of doing things, to live that 20th century. And I got to know them. I suspected something like this, but didn't understand it. And these are the clusters that are sent in my case, and this is the thing. You all go find this out for yourself. Never mind. I don't mind. I'm just Pied Piper is all. But this cluster, I've recognized symptoms of this when I got to know it. It says, oh yes, and now I got to know them very well. But there are around 5 that are dominant, but they've melded together to become what I am. But my earliest life experience was, at least that I can find, and it isn't, there may be another one, is 150,000 years ago, if I can measure it by our time. See, our recorded history is a little small segment, and that's the thing you've become so fascinated with. How could human history be that small when there's so much of it? And it's all there. You can go play in it. And I can tell you that it's probably the most important fun you can have in your life, because it's also so very useful. And the it of you, the I there, the totality of it. And the other thing, oh yes, there's so many facets to this. One of the things that you must then become aware of, and you go find out for yourself again. But in my own case, I was astounded to discover that in this I there of me when I got into trouble, and have through my lifetime, a helper has been sent. And it's one of the earlier personalities who's capable to do certain things, is, quote, sent, and that's a relative term, to help me. And I must tell you that the how that's done is they don't wait. You think, well, you're going down for the third time. They wait to the 10th time, and then they come. Be sure you get the experience. Is the whole point. Don't make it a real experience. I give the illustration.
And all at once, a deep relaxation came over me, and I felt as though someone had thrown a switch, and everything in me relaxed. I could see sea life, sea anemones, all of the tropical fish, and I was so absorbed in this beautiful scene with a clarity that I've never had before. I forgot all about what was happening physically. And this awareness, or this visual impact, grew. It was so intense, and it was like dropping water in a pond, and it began to expand like a wave. It kept growing and growing, and I had expanded clear around the globe. After overlapping the planet several times, this awareness gathered potency, and all at once it burst free. And I was totally free, flying through space outside of the confines of the Earth. My awareness was, with full vision, was traveling outward, and I was touching other planets. I was aware of going beyond this universe into other galaxies, and it just kept going, all 360 degrees, expanding. I observed other life forms, other worlds with people, and it just kept going and going. I was shaken away from this when I felt a hand reach up and grab my shoulder, and then I was aware of someone pushing me, pulling me through the water and pushing me to the surface. And then after being pushed up on to the deck of the boat, I was lifted into the Coast Guard helicopter, and paramedics were shining lights into my eyes, and they were talking with each other, saying he's dead. And all the time I'm very awake, and I'm literally to myself shouting, I'm okay. But they don't, my voice isn't working, nothing's happening. And until they landed on the hospital pad and used the respirator on me, I was still quiet. And then all at once, this switch that turned off, all of a sudden I felt it turn on, and the life force jumped back into my body. It was like sort of an electric shock. As a doctor, I realized that it's not an easy thing to explain how something like this can happen. Logically, you do not survive after 4 or 5 minutes without air. The only explanation that I have is that in this experience, my body did, in fact, shut off. And by not having any requirements, my organs survived this experience.
But one of my travels, I went out of body and ended up on a ship. And in the ship were all these diverse beings. And that's what's on some of these ships you're seeing up there, these big motherships. And this being was at a panel, and she spun around in her chair. She got up and ran to me and gave me this big hug. And I felt this incredible, just love, like long-lost brother reuniting love. It was phenomenal. And when I experienced this energy and just power, you know, incredible power too from her, and just such love, and you know, and her name's Bagit, and she's very involved here too as well. And so if you want to meditate on her and ask to connect with her, you can. Some people, you've actually been some of these beings in a past life, so this is going to really be a soul shocker for you. And you go, oh, you know, these people look familiar, but they're here.
Was on board a spacecraft, life support system, I should say, and they were all operating. See, I just arrived, and there were all these, well, I looked like bald-headed or helmeted beings at their consoles, very science fiction stuff. And it wasn't until one of them turned around, I saw it was an actual ET. But they were controllers, what they were called, controllers operating the system. They are given orders and they carry them out. They don't go much beyond that. They're told what to do. Then I met Ossie Shu, who was a being, I call him Birdman. When he came, I knew he was a Birdman, and I called him Birdman right at the beginning. I didn't know his name then. Very, very tall. To say he was a Birdman, it simply means that his face made you think of a bird. Made me think of an eagle, actually. It didn't mean he had, you know, flapping and clucking and all the rest of it. I immediately called him Birdman. And he was the first one to communicate with me from another place. And he told me about why they were interested in helping planet Earth, that we are actually their children. We have been genetically altered from early man into Homo sapien, and they're still helping us to evolve. But he communicated mind to mind, you see, through his eyes. Weird. And every time he blinked, the energy, it was like a sudden rush of energy. Ooh, you know, every time he blinked, and he knew every time what I was thinking. I didn't have to say it, he knew it. A knowing again. It was really weird, but lovely. But I felt warm towards him, but I knew I couldn't touch him. Now, whether that was because I was only there in the mind, I don't know. I just knew I couldn't touch him. But it was like he was, like you are, physically in front of me. Felt physical. I felt physical.
You were physically in front of him too?
It felt like that. As I said before, it's like being in a dream that you know is real while you're dreaming it. It was that sort of thing. I felt as physical as I'm here, sat down in a chair. But I knew I couldn't be. I mean, it was an impossibility for me to be physical there, but that's how I felt.
So this is existing physically in third dimension, and the mind is taking you into a higher dimension.
Into a higher dimension.
That he exists in physically.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Do you see?
Yes, I understand.
It was like we were both physical, each of us.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew, because, you know, I wasn't stupid. I knew that I couldn't possibly be physical, but I felt physical. I was able to drink and sleep and walk about and everything. It's
Well,
really,
as in a dream, one can do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
So it was a reality for me. But I stepped out from third dimensional reality into another one.
So we can be in more than one dimension at the same time.
You can definitely be in more. Remember what I said about time isn't relevant? Your physical reality can be in more than one place, which is why a lot of people have difficulty when you die, you pass over. You still feel physical over there. You don't feel as if you're in spirit, as if you're dead or anything. You still feel the same. It's quite, because I've been on the other side, and I've written about that in the book as well. What it's like on the other side. It's quite interesting, actually, and not at all scary. The only problem is if people know how nice it is, they might want to hop the twig sooner and go a bit too soon.
Rather than go through all the life lessons.
Yeah, but of course that's not what we chose. But yes, so Ossie Shu I've met I've met my spirit guides who have presented themselves as different nationalities because I can accept them that way. I don't know what, if they were just energy form, I wouldn't be able to relate, or somehow they wouldn't have the identities that they do by them presenting themselves as Chinese. Dr. Bo is Tibetan, sorry, Dr. Bo, he's Tibetan. And I've met 3 Chinese as spirit guides, and Indians and the Raja